So, welcome everyone to the Game Médier. Thank you. Thanks a lot for coming out. It's good to see everyone. And so, if anyone has not come to the Game Médier before, which I know is the case for at least a few people, we organize these kind of events on a weekly basis where we have someone coming to present something cool going on in video games. We have a particular focus on education and science and anything kind of a little interesting, but we're also interested in other things such as more experimental stuff. Like tonight, it's going to be cool. And so if you want to have more information, you can follow us on Meetup. It's probably the best place to find out all the events that we have. And otherwise, there's Twitter, and there's Facebook, and there's all that kind of social stuff. So without further ado,
hello, everyone. So, Jeremy Cortial and myself, teach, exactly, are going to present you. No. Those people like this. Okay. So, a mix between French and English. Up to present you the magnificent Flippaper. Exactly. Thank you. Let's make it a live audience. So, the concept here is an idea we had with Jeremy a long time ago. At first, the idea was to mix actually drawing and playing. This is the basic of the idea. So the name Flippaper, flipper, which is French for pinball, and paper, which is French for nothing, but English for papier in French. So the point is actually to mix both of them. And the part is already playing. Interesting. So we are here today to talk about it, a little bit of the making of, how it was well, meant to happen, let's say, the present. So this huge stuff, kudos to Jeremy, was done a few months ago, and the next steps. Because Flippaper is actually part, let's say, of a bigger project where we try to actually, how to say, see how we can use actually paper and pigments as an interface. So if you want to talk about our meeting at Shono.
Yeah, okay, so it was the release party this weekend. We made it with guys called Ferrari Production, guys who make a lot of events mixing comics and interactivity, workshops, and very human, with a really human approach of art. And it's the second time we were invited by these guys. So we went for a big session of test during three days with Flippaper, and now this is the time for the making of and explaining the long time we spent together to do the object and the code, who are like mixing together for a new approach of programming with paper and playing with pigment, with kind of magic interactivity.
And the point at first, it was pretty funny actually. We met at Chaumont, and Jeremy was presenting something. Well, what I thought first was very similar actually. You had a huge structure which was just magnificent, arcade paper, right?
Yeah, I was presenting a sculpture called Arcade Paper, which was really low tech. It was a big character, like cartoon character, 2 meters high, with a Game & Watch inside, kind of old school Nintendo LCD Game & Watch, like, with the character moving like in 3 or 4 steps, mixed with paper. So it was possible to draw a background of the game, which was in black and white, addition with this background, and we could play the game on the paper. It was just a decoration.
Exactly.
There was no interactivity between the game itself and the paper we were drawing.
And when I came over, actually, I was presenting something else, a project but made with another laboratory, and I was really amazed by the project because it was really from on my side from a phone, realizing, oh my god, you're drawing and it reacts to your drawing, right? It's like, no, it doesn't. Like, oh, but it could. And this is the result, actually, a few years later.
Yeah, I could say that at the same time, Roman was also presenting his project, was an interactive installation based on a web camera and a system with a movement recognition. And it was quite reactive, but not really pop. It was like pixel moving and some poetic stuff. It was cool, but not really attractive. And my installation was the contrary. It was not really interactive, but really pop with a bit sculpture. And the idea was to mix these two knowledge to make something really pop, attractive to people, and with a real interaction inside. That's the reason we started to work together and to find some way to do.
So we have this idea actually. The point was that okay, what we want is already huge. It's just to react to your drawing. So we don't have already not even like an idea of a game, but the idea of doing a game. We're wondering, okay, what to do. We had an idea of having some kind of like an inventor's table. Like you would have a huge table with little places on it, and you would just put colors which would actually mix some kind of structure. You would say, like for instance, in a few games, you can check the skin of your player. Here, you just put actually draw a little stuff all over the paper, and it all makes sense to the center. So something more like of a sandbox, actually. And then bit by bit, we are wondering, like, a game could be fun, actually, and could really present the idea of drawing. So like if you don't put a motivation, let's say, for the player, and we see that in the next part, it's very hard, actually, to get into the project. So we had the idea of having a game. The question is,
what kind of game?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we were hesitating between a little card game, exactly. You know, it's kind of very old game when you had like only one screen and seen from the top, and you could actually draw and compete like Micro Machine kind of video game, which was meant to be pretty fun, I guess. Or we had the pinball, which had a killer actually feature which made us actually choose it. It's gravity, or I mean, sorry, how graphic it would be. If you see, you can check and actually play them after. If you check a few of them, you really have different kind of design. Some actually don't even look like real paintball. And this is the point of it. You really have a mix. Sometimes you have, so exactly, this one really doesn't look like a paintball. This one does, for instance. And here, you see a mix of both, actually. And the point was really to mix paintball and graphism. I mean, paintball, gaming, and graphism. Here we had really like the whole concept put together.
Actually, the reason why we choose the pinball instead of the card game was the fact that a card game needs to have a road or some really fixed structure. The pinball could be really anything. You could draw really anything you like, or you can just think about gameplay with real structure of elements to react to the board. So there was really many approaches to draw, a more technical approach or a more artistic approach, and actually you could really draw anything and just put a ball inside and see how it reacts. So it was the more larger way of interacting with the picture, just punching a ball into the.
Nice stuff is that you can always start actually by doing whatever you want. It's you can. I remember one person actually doing a huge drawing all in blue. You will see later actually the signification of each color, but blue actually is wall. So you can imagine that if you put a wall everywhere, you can play it actually, it doesn't work. And so this was not working. But then you can make modification to make it working. So it's not just like you're doing one drawing and that's done. You have to redo it from scratch. No, you can always put modification. And we'll see that use that later actually. So what you see here actually is like the whole structure. So you can imagine that it's meant to be everywhere. And it's been presented already, well, right now for the third time. It didn't start like that actually. At first we had like what, at Vertigo 2 years ago, we had a demonstration just on the wall with a lot of children actually. And if you want to test, to benchmark whatever you're doing, put it with a room full of 10 years old, or even worse, 6 years old. If it doesn't crash, that's good. It's NASA level, so this is good. Then after, it was really good actually, because we had really like first day we had interaction on the keyboard, so not really a video game actually. Then we had some kind of controller. I don't remember which brand it was, but it was closer to a video game, but you know, a bit too classic. And then we had some kind of homemade super weird stuff, which was a plastic box with
makey
exactly a makey.
Yeah,
And
kind of
some-
a controller, a very cheap controller. But
Yeah,
more like a
homemade.
cheap video game because there was no keyboard.
Yeah, and the point of it too was to make it actually transparent, because it was it's always a little bit about do it yourself and a bit about education. Actually, it's why we are so happy to be here at the Gamery. Actually, because we are presenting the project and the idea underneath it. The box was transparent, so you could see all the wire actually, and you could understand the point of each button just by actually looking at the wires themselves. Not sure all the 6 years old got that, but anyway, it was fun to do. And then after Retro Future and a few others, we had some mashup of
I would
cards.
like to say that
Ah.
the first release we had was so simple that we had to take a picture of the map of the drawing and change the
Good question.
to change the
This shape.
to stretch the image to get it square and fit into the game. So we had to stretch the image manually and put it into the program so it could be recognized as a square pinball. Okay.
Yes,
So
not
at the
really
time
real
it was
time.
absolutely not automatized.
So it was 5-10 minutes, something like that. So between the children, like drawing on the ground, and then us trying to put it as fast as possible on the pinball, it was really long.
But the good thing at this step was the fact that you can replace the program and the menus by the mediation with the public. So it's the occasion to make joke and just like, okay, just take a drink and come back after you will be able to play your pinball after. So now all the program is doing that mediation for us.
Exactly.
But at the first time,
And we are going to get the drinks.
the mediation and the human was really important.
So yeah, so now we have the whole deal. So what we wanted actually, I mean, Jeremy will be able way better to tell about all the design since he's the mother and father of the structure. But the idea was actually to have a mix between two stuff. Not sure how to say, type architect's table, something like that. Yeah, ring a bell. So the idea was to have, you know, like the core, the big stuff
Okay.
with stuff on the ground that you can use.
Yeah, so after this first step at the first festival, the game, the Flippaper was just a poster taped on the wall with this remote chip controller. And after that, we really started to think about how could we make a perfect installation to mix drawing and gaming and pinballing at the same time. So we started to think about the perfect position for playing and made some kind of wood prototype. And really quickly we had this inclination, this position, and we thought that it was really important to hide the projection system inside. And we came up with this feature, the skeleton of that, the bones of the sculpture. And after it took time to decide for this form and this design, but the internal bones and inclination and system was decided just a few weeks after the first show. So this is really important for the future of the object.
The idea was really clear right from the start. This mix between having a nice angle, let's say, of the table to be able to draw, and still a feeling of gravity. For instance, when we put it on the wall, it's nice, it's really great, you have some kind of almost street vibe for a few, I guess, but you don't really have the feel of you don't have really the feel of you're drawing or you're on top of something. And gravity feels weird. And the same, if it was just on a table, you don't understand why actually the ball is going in one way. If you play it from everywhere, actually it wouldn't make sense. Here we have really the good angle. And really, when you have the feeling, when you launch the ball and then it gets back, you really understand what's happening actually.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll show more of it and you will be able to test it.
Actually, it was like a video game inspired by the old school arcades, but also it was inspired of pinballs. But pinballs is more like horizontal, and we wanted also to make it easy to draw and easy to make a show when someone is drawing. Like that's the reason why we made it more vertical, and there is also the second reason for the feeling of gravity that Roman told before. So we made this kind of animation. It's really easy for us to show the game now. If it was a normal pinball, you couldn't see anything. So it's a good choice too.
So just in case you were wondering, Jeremy is the one doing the drawing usually. I'm more an abstract kind of person, let's say that. It's a cat, if people are wondering. Better. So yeah, and now this is only all the result. So now actually the key of it, the stuff that appears about drawing and all the functioning of the piece itself. First of all, maybe last actually, but first for us, it was all the comments we got on that. What we wanted was really to actually go beyond technology. You see a lot of lo-fi projects, very interesting project by the way, a lot of lo-fi projects which are actually trying to, let's say, get still inspired by technology but go backward, let's say. It's like to forget some stuff and to go back into past technology with having the idea in mind that we're going too fast or something like that. Interesting idea. For us, it would be more like new technologies, new tools actually. The point is to know how to use it, to know what to do with it. We can do mistakes with it, and we can do interesting stuff. The point was to make it disappear, still. It's like to go beyond with technology. Here you don't see the computer, you don't see the video projector, you don't see the camera, you see nothing. Up to the point that the comments we get sometimes are pretty funny actually. Like some people thought that, oh, you have a big screen, and when they see all the paintball everywhere, it's like, oh, where is the printer actually? It's like, no, this is paper. Like also, do we have to press very hard actually to get the pressure of the screen? Still paper. So it's just about the color. And people were thinking that there is video projection from inside or something like that. And my explanation would be magic actually. But so yeah, it's just paper, color on it, usually using postcards, but you can use actually whatever you want. You can use little shapes, you can gommette in French, sorry, no, in English. Little stuff of color of paper, you can just glue on it. You can use ketchup if you want, if you want to eat the paper. You can actually put whatever you want on it. I remember like one person having some kind of, let's call it a hat, a red hat, and no linking the company, and actually putting it just here and playing the big hat like a big boss, all red and very hard to actually beat. It was pretty fun. You can really play with whatever you want. Or when you have children, a child trying to actually put a big blue here, so basically you can't play anymore. Then you just take a bit of white paper and put it here. Nobody's the wisest, the wiser. It's good like that. So you can really play with it. That's really the point of it. You can really do whatever you want with it. It's pretty hard actually for the tech itself, and for those interested, we'll go into a bit of coding after that. But the point is that it's very generic. It's not you need to use the pen. It's you need to use the color. Whatever you do with the color from this point, it's up to you.
The technology behind this is really simple. It makes me think about the inventor of the Game Boy, Gunpei Yokoi. If someone know him, there is a philosophy of just using old-fashioned technology and not being into the competition. Just it's more a question of thinking about how we could reuse old technologies to make something really fun or really human. So after this pretty old technology, it would be possible to do the same thing like 10 or 15 years before, because it's the same technology. It's just a webcam and a projector actually and paper. So
exactly,
it's
and
not really complicated.
To show you like how much we went into, let's say, low tech, not low-fi, but low tech. We need actually filters for the camera. A few here already try to play it with cameras and video projectors. You have two technologies. Now I think the one called LDP, something like that, actually goes with artifacts. When you try to film actually a video projector,
it's a slight difference, but it makes a bit.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have just a camera, either you go very low frequency, and it kills a bit the picture actually, or you keep it but very dark. And we need actually a filter, and we use, you can check later, sunglasses actually.
No, the sunglasses.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's really, and you could say like, this is not very professional. I would answer, it works.
Yeah.
Not good enough. No, good enough is perfect.
Yeah, so there was not a lot of problem we had to solve for the hardware. Actually, we had to, the best way to flash the image with white was not to put a lamp, but to use the projector with a white screen for the flash. And for that, we had to get a perfect image with no flicker. And if someone knows photography, if you want to take a picture of screen, you need to have a really slow frame rate, like how do you say that?
Right.
0.1 second aperture for the frame rate of the camera. If you don't do that, you get a flicker of a rainbow or rainbow in the image. We had to force the camera to take a picture with a really slow frame rate to get a good image. That's the reason why we put some sunglasses on the camera. It's a really cheap system, but it works.
Okay, about actually the tech itself, the coding part. So we won't bother going into all details for this curious. You can cut us short and ask us question or anything whenever you want, but you will do and actually ask answer questions just after. But so I'll go quick on the coding part.
Yeah,
but
maybe at this level we spoke a bit about the hardware. If someone has some question, you can just ask.
Yeah, actually.
The hardware.
No? To meet people. All right. But so for the coding part, actually, it was very, how to say, an evolving process. In a way, it mimics a lot the Flippaper in the way that when you draw, you start and you say like, not going to work, and then you make modifications. For the code was pretty much the same, actually. First, for instance, we used processing, which a few of you might know, which is a very nice tool for prototyping indeed. But sometimes it happens, at least for the second version, you end up having a few bugs, which makes you end up at 5 p.m. if my memory is good, at the day before presentation, and having to record everything in a new language, which was, let's call it fun. Now it's done. So now we're using Cinder. So yeah, and we went from, well, let's say Java processing, and now C++ and Cinder, which allowed us to really try to improve bits by bits. This is actually the fun stuff we want to have with the drawing too. We want to make a library to allow people to actually draw and play very easily. And in the way, this is how we program it too. Each time we present it, we try to add a few features, the stuff that just come to mind. So it's really a growing process, bit by bit. All in all, well, I have to quote actually, Bérangère Mathieu, which helped a lot about the recognition of drawings, and she'll be super happy actually to be notified in the video. Hello. So the point first actually is to get background from foreground. Did anybody here do some image processing? Maybe? Perfect. So background, foreground is very important. It's always about, it's a bit like signal processing sometimes. It's like you have noise and you have what you want. You can have it in a conversation in a room. You won't just forget everybody's talking, just the one you're talking to. So here, what we want actually is the drawing itself first, which is not so easy actually. We will filter on luminance and on saturation. So basically, if it's white, there is nothing. And then the more color you have, the more likely you actually have something drawn on it, and it's not just black or gray level. Once you have that, you just have actually a picture modified, but just the same kind of picture. What you do after is try to recognize the colors themselves. So for you, of course, you see, this is easy. You have blue, green, and red. But of course, the camera has a lot of noise actually on it, and even with not the noise, you have like difference in lighting, which means that you have actually two clusters all the colors together. When it's done, then you have to do segmentation actually to put to know that this triangle, for instance, is one object itself. For you, then again, it's automatic. You need to automate that with the picture itself. When it's done, then you have the fun part actually. You create physical objects on it. So to quote all the technology we're using, this is done with Box2D, very fun to use. And after that, you give it a meaning. And now we enter a very specific part, and the one that is actually still in development, it's the idea of language. So not the coding language, but actually the graphic language. Here you see 3 colors, and you can see already that they are recognized in different kind of way. You have the red that sometimes doesn't light. You have the green with a little animation, and you have the blue that is always staying up in the same colors, and actually the little flickers, I think. Yeah, flippers. Anyway, so the point of it is that we really wanted to allow people to, of course, draw their own flipper. You should know that by now. But also program actually it. Not just something static, not just like pachinko where actually there will be a ball and pack pack, just like bouncing back till it hit the ground of the flippers. The point was really actually to try to develop your own game. So for that, we created language, which is actually based right now on 3 colors. So you have, but all in all, we are trying to exploit the possibility of a 4th. The idea is actually to have 2 parameters that put together will create 4 possibilities. First one is the, let's say, color physical or not. So is it on the ground actually? You can imagine a flipper to help you understand that actually. Is it on the ground of the flipper so you can just go through? Or is it actually something really physical on it? And then you have, is it active actually on the ball itself, or is it passive? For instance, if you have something physical and passive, you have the blue, which is just like by making the ball bounce. So just passive, but present in the physical world, let's say. If you want something active, then you have the red. Sometimes, if it's like a long line, it's something you can destroy actually. So if you remember the card exploding at some point. And if it's dense, let's say, then you have a bumper, like in the classic paintball. Exactly.
This is a good example.
This is a nice one. A nice one.
Of the red.
There is no message here.
There is absolutely no message in video game. We should learn that.
Exactly. We are for family and against violence. So, and I have no idea where I was. Colors. So yes, the point of it is having the blue, the red for the physicality, and then right now we have the green, which is acceleration actually on the ground. Later on, it will create the warp zone, and the last one, we're not sure yet about it, will be on the ground but passive, meaning it won't have an action on the ball itself. So, for instance, for scoring, for little treasure, for opening other parts of the flippers, this kind of interaction with the flipper itself, but not with the ball itself. So what was very interesting in the overall design of it, not the technology, but the design of the paintball, was actually the fact that paintball is actually, I mean, it's 3D, it's physical. You have really the ball itself. You have, if you remember, like on the slide, you have ways actually to go to make like balls go up and go back here. So you really have like some pathways that are sometimes on top of each other. Here you can't do that. Here you have like just, it's drawing. So you have 2D and basta, nada, that's it. You have nothing else. So we could cheat. You can always cheat. Cheating is good usually. You could cheat actually and put somehow like, let's say, 2 blues and saying, okay, it will go on top of it. This can be done. This could be done. The point is that usually when, I mean, this is a personal approach. I'd be curious actually to see if other people concur with me. If you cheat in programming and in creating something, you need to cheat at the end. If you cheat during actually the creation of it, you can't really add elements on it. If you have a coherent system, then it's all good. You know that what we will do makes sense. It's like you want to play music, start with a musical instrument. You take the piano, you go from one stroke to the other one, it will be still coherent. If you have an instrument which sometimes play like a violin, sometimes like a piano, it will be very hard actually to have some kind of musicality after that. Here we wanted actually a coherent system, and hence we needed to stay in 2Ds. And the answer actually to the idea of having some stuff on top of each other was to use a warp zone. So in the later installment, you will have like 2 little zones in green, and when you go from one, it will just warp you to the other one. So and the point of it is that it's not like a real flipper. because you can't do that because it's not a flipper, it's a Flippaper. But you still, it's not just a limitation. You can do better stuff. I mean, maybe not better, but other stuff that are more fitting actually the principle of the drawing and more fitting actually the 2D. We could, for instance, I don't know, like make a 3D of the drawing itself, but it wouldn't really make sense. What we want is actually was very simple graphism, very simple design to fit this idea of just putting pigments. Then again, this is why we have like very fat stroke actually. It's with this physicality we are researching. So this is more or less what we are. Let me check actually. Very important to have notes. Very bad to check them, but still. So the point is actually here we have two kind of dualities that we try to mash together somehow. For instance, here you have magnificent Jeremy Cortial, which is creating the game. Then player, and then somebody else actually could play it. So you have the game designer, and it's a piece of the making of, have the player, how it was. But the point actually is that you can always change your own game. The present is not needed, so that you say design your whole pinball, and that's it. Then you play it, and you can come back to it. No, it's always the case. You can always come back to it. Even if the ball is in mid-game, you can still draw something and back scan it, and that's it. Jeremy was telling you that before we had to take a picture, and it was a lengthy process involving dreams, mediation, and all that, witchcraft a bit. So now it's automatic. Sometimes we say it's better because it's more it's faster. It's not just better. We have really like a paradigm shift actually somehow because since it's so fast, you're doing it in real time actually. You don't bother saying, okay, I will make the modification later. No, you create your modifications mid-game. And this is very important. You don't have on one side the game designer, and on the other side the player, the gamer, you have both at the same time. And this is very interesting because it's actually pretty hard to get. At first, you see people really like drawing their paintball, taking like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, so a long time, and then playing it. And thinking like, oh, I made a mistake. Too bad, that's done. Which is not the case. You are still creating your own game. So this is actually the fun part of it. The little issue with it is that when you design your game, when you create it, usually you don't do it. You ask someone that made studies, that have a lot of experience actually in creating the game, so that this person will create a fun one. Here, you're the designer and you're the player. So if you're telling this game sucks, the people that designed it is bad, well, actually you're swinging your stone to yourself. So this is very hard actually to present. This is why mediation here is pretty important, to showcase to people that what you can do, what you should, and all that. And the fun part of it too is that we know already a few tricks. But if we are experts on designing the machine, let's say, we know it by heart, we are not experts in playing it, at least not yet. So every time new people come and try with it, every time they explore it, every time they come with their own background, we learn new stuff. For instance, I don't know if it was at Stunfest or if it was just at Formula Bula, but you had people starting actually to, I mean, you had one guy playing while his two other friends was coming from both sides and trying to put blue everywhere or red to kill the ball while scanning and all that. So it's multiplayer, but like you have like one playing, other drawings. So this is really the point of it. It's really free actually. At some point you can just put your hand, scan it, and ta-da! So it's really really free, and it's when you create something simple as opposed to complicated, then you have this kind of possibilities.
About the multiplayer, actually we could forecast many things about the using of the drawing and how it could become after, but the part that evolved a lot with the contact of people and with the test with all the guys, with the prototype versions, was the question of the multiplaying and the question of the mix between drawing and playing. And at first, I don't know if you spoke about that, but we imagined that there would be a drawing mode and a playing mode, with a button for playing and a button for drawing. But after trying the utilization, we really find out the fact that it was just one thing. The fact of playing and drawing became really one experience of playing Flippaper. And we just put this scan button instead. And the experience of playing was more like something I start to draw and I try my drawing, I play inside, I make it evolving, I change some part that doesn't work, and someone could come in the conversation with a beer and change the drawing, and there is an interaction between the people outside, between the game, between the way you are drawing, the mistake you do, and actually it's just a new way of drawing and a new way of playing because it's mixed together, and we really make many efforts to make this experience just one experience like that. So I can just come and make, okay, I don't like that, I don't like that, fuck you, okay. And I just can make something like that and just can put a new red just here, temporary red, like that. Okay, okay. There is a big bug, but
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
okay, so this is really important. But we had the occasion to go in several festivals with a prototype of the Flippaper, and with the experience of the public, we really changed this way of playing. Actually, we wanted just 4 buttons from the beginning. L left and right button, and 2 buttons. We didn't really know which, but
the point was to really
the thing that changed was really the way of moving from a mode, the drawing mode, to the playing mode, and to make it just one experience.
Yeah, before that we had actually let's say 2 states. So I told you about like the difference between game designing and actually playing the stuff. Before we had 2 states. You're either the designer or you are actually the player, and now we are always both. We went from 2 states to actually 1 action, which is actually the scanning part of it. And about the button, it's pretty fun because we'll tell you, well, I guess after that, about all the possibilities beyond that. Because it's not just the flipper, this is just meant to have, let's say, a wow effect, and from that to showcase what could be done and can be done actually with this kind of draw play technology when you mix drawing and playing. The point was to actually get all the buttons from the paintball, being indeed left, right, launch ball, and then just add 1 stuff, no more. We had a lot of little issues. We wanted to add, I mean, we needed to add more buttons. We wanted to start with 4 to have just 1 button, the magic one, the scan one. It's like if you know your paintball, you know the functionality for everything. In a way, or only added value sums up to this white scan button. This is where, let's say, the magic is happening. This was very important. This is where actually we are really like putting together drawing and playing.
And we really had to focus on the feeling of the scanning to make people just be very conscious of this button is the button you need to make your drawing real and to fix the fact that it flashes and it makes something happen.
Yeah, we don't want to, I mean, you have sounds of the machine, but we don't want to put the sound because with our voice we don't really work well for the streaming, but we really want yet to
move on to questions maybe?
Yes.
playing maybe.
Okay,
Okay,
or
maybe.
did you want to present a few more things that...
Oh yeah, then we can end
Maybe
up
just
maybe on the
kinda-
possibilities. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea of the possibility is that here we have the paintball with the drawing. So, but we what we have at the core of it actually is, let's say, a technology. So you have interacting, not even playing, interacting with your drawing. What we want to have about the library itself is first to make it, let's say, as simple as possible from the usage perspective. This way, just internally, we can develop this kind of games and for new interaction, either for playing or for education purpose, the quickest possible. Second, we want to have collaboration actually. So if anybody is interested, a very one-on-one collaboration so that somebody can test the library and see for somebody that is discovering the project, does it make sense? Is it easy actually to use? Then we want to open it up a little bit, some kind of beta for the library for a few people, maybe a workshop, this kind of stuff, before really releasing it open source. like we like it. If you wanted to have money, we'd go into banks. So what we want actually is really to share that with as many people possible, whether that be creators to create new stuff, or just players actually, or anybody that could be interested in this kind of stuff. This is why right now we have a flipper. We are already thinking about a way to do that on the wall with a whole designing of the experience. Another generic one on the table that you can have at home, or you could have a kit for experts, a kit for users, where you can design your game or just play your games. And a later one, we really want actually is the one on a big whiteboard, where you don't actually use postcards, but you actually tag your stuff. We are still thinking actually of what kind of game or interaction we could have. So if you have any ideas and you don't know what to do till Christmas, we welcome you. And well, I guess that's it. So if you have any questions, and of course, come to play.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions?
Yep.
What's the accuracy of the thickness of the stroke? Can I draw with the?
No.
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, so you're asking about the thickness of the stroke that is needed actually for recognition. Right now we're using actually a very, very low-tech camera, and we try to use the lowest possible resolution to test actually how far we can push it. And to be completely honest too, because the more pixel you have, the lengthier the process is. Right now, if you're using a big postcard, it's looking pretty great. We still have a little issues when you're trying to do something thinner, but if you're thinking about a pencil, for instance, no way. But we're trying to push it forward in the possibilities of the gameplay, but of course through the recognition itself. For instance, since you have actually a trapezoidal shape, here resolution is pretty nice. Here it's getting to worse actually because of the deformation. So we really need something very accurate actually and very powerful to have a good resolution down. So this is actually what we are working on, let's say, from now until still a few months. Going with a better resolution means we need to be really way, way faster actually on the process. Anyone? Well, come to play then.
Okay, just try. Okay, thank you again.
Thank you.